Hey guys, so please don't forget to turn your cameras on. Okay. And what we're gonna do today is practice the second question of a new TOEFL writing section. The one we were doing yesterday, writing for an academic discussion. So let's see. Okay. First of all, I'm gonna share with you guys the template we used yesterday and the example we had yesterday so that you can guide your responses on based on that. Let's see. Okay, guys. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna share with you guys the link to this presentation, and you're gonna write your responses in the same presentation. Remember that it's just 10 minutes long, so we're gonna use those 10 minutes, and then we'll be reviewing some of your responses. I'll be giving you guys some feedback as we go. So let's see. Okay, guys, so please open the link that I'm sending you through the chat. Okay. Okay, guys. So in this presentation, you will find the example that we did yesterday. So you guys can take a look at it. You can see the template. Try not to change anything from this slide, please. So don't make any edits here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna be creating a slide for each student. So for example, this is gonna be Adrioroscos. This would be Matilde. Here we will have Sandra. We have Araceli here. And Natalia. Okay, guys. So in this presentation, you're gonna be writing your responses. Okay, but let's take a look at the instructions. Do you guys have any questions so far before we start practicing? No questions? Okay, guys. Great. Then this is gonna be the assignment. We're gonna read it together. So the instructions say, your professor is teaching a class on political science. Write a post responding to the professor's question. In your response, you should express and support your personal opinion and make a contribution to the discussion in your own words. An effective response will contain at least 100 words. You have 10 minutes to complete this task. So it's the same instructions as usual, right? You just have to write a post answering the question where you express and you support your opinion, and plus you gotta make also a contribution to this discussion. Now, Dr. Jones says, today we're going to talk about the debate between economic growth and protecting the environment. Economic growth creates new jobs and gives people money they can use to improve their lives. On the other hand, if we protect the environment, it can be enjoyed both by ourselves and future generations. Now, here's the question. If you had to choose between prioritizing economic growth or protecting the environment, which one would you pick? Why? That is the question. If you had to choose between prioritizing economic growth or protecting the environment, which one would you pick and why? And as usual, you have two sample responses of your two classmates. In this case, we have Susan and Alex. So Susan says that she would prioritize the environment and explains why she would do that. And Alex says that he would prioritize economic growth over the environment, and he has his explanation. Okay, guys? So what you have to do now is in each slide that contains your name, you have to write your responses. Okay, guys? I'm gonna be giving you guys 10 minutes to do that. Do you have any questions before we start? Have you all been able to access to the presentation? Okay, guys, perfect. Then please start writing now. We have until 10:25. I'm sorry, 7:25. If you have questions, go. You can talk to me. I will be right here.
Good evening, Andrea.
Hi, Amy.
I'm sorry. I'm on my cell phone, and if I go to the Google Drive document, my Zoom, I don't know, it's failing. It's turning off.
Okay, you can do it in another document, no problem, and send it to me at the end of the class. I'm typing the instructions so that you know what to do.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Matilde?
Um, uh, Now I realized first I should start. I mean, student A should always be the person who I'm not agreeing with, right?
Student A has to be the student that you agree with, actually.
Sorry, that I agree with. And the student B should be like the student that I do not agree.
Exactly.
Okay, I was doing it backwards. Okay, thank you.
You have 1 minute. Okay, guys, so time's up, but I'm seeing that none of you have actually finished. So, okay, I'm seeing that some of you are pasting. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys 3 more minutes for you to finish. Okay, guys. So we're gonna see how did it go? What questions do you guys have? How was it? What do you think you were struggling with the most? Was it thinking of ideas? Was it the time? Was it vocabulary for these specific topics of the environment? What do you guys think you were struggling with the most?
In my case, I got confused and I start the opposite way. So it took me a minute to realize that I was going in the wrong way. So I step back and restart.
Okay, but that's not a bad thing, because that way you're now probably not gonna forget, which student you should start with, and it's just a matter of understanding well how the template goes. So it's more of a formality, but it's a good mistake to make now. Anything else? What about the rest of you guys? Okay, so Natalia says that her problem is the time. So yeah, time can be a little bit limited in this case. But again, I think in order to improve the way that you're managing your time, in order to write faster, well, maybe you need to realize why you're struggling with time. Maybe it's because you're taking too long in thinking of ideas, thinking of what to say. Or maybe it's because you're taking too long in actually writing the response, in maybe organizing the words or trying to have good sentences. Maybe you're correcting yourself too much. Remember that you guys should be correcting and checking everything after you're done with the entire response, right? Initially, you should write, even if you're making some grammar mistakes, even if you're not using the best vocabulary that you could use, even if it's not perfect, you should just write everything and then go back to correct if you have extra time, all right? So try to see what is making you take more time, and practicing is going to help you as well, of course. So, okay. What about the rest of you guys? Amy, how did it go for you?
Actually, I'm not finished yet, so
Okay,
yeah,
but have you written anything? Could you paste it here if you have? Or could you
um,
send it to me maybe?
I could read it. I don't know.
Could you maybe copy and paste it to the Zoom chat,
Or
please? Oh, okay, this is it.
yeah, it's really short actually. I was having troubles trying to open the thing and looking for my laptop. So I was trying to say that economy can be affected if we're not dealing with the troubles that contamination, pollution can give to the worldwide economy, like pandemic and that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right, good, Amy. Alexandra, what about you? Were you able to write anything?
Yes, Miss, I wrote, but I did on my other cell phone because I don't have my laptop right now. And I don't know how can I pay, how can I test this because I just download the app. So, but now I can pay.
Maybe you can send it to the WhatsApp
Okay,
group chat, and I'll be
okay,
pasting from there.
okay.
Okay, guys. So let's see. We're gonna take a time to read your responses. I will be assigning you a different one, or I will be sending you feedback on the responses too. But let's take a look. So let's start with Adri's response. So she says, I completely support Susan's opinion. Okay. So you think that the environment should be first. Now, besides the fact that our planet is the only place we have to live, perfect. So this is Susan's main point. So it's really well summarized, besides the fact that our planet is the only place we have to live in. Remember that after this first clause, after you summarize student A's main reason, you need to use a comma because it's a compound sentence and you are joining two different clauses, an independent and a dependent clause. So you do need to use a comma before you introduce your reason, after you have summarized student A's reason. So besides the fact that our planet is the only place we have to live in, it is widely known that we must ensure the life and health of our future generations. Okay, good. And not worry only about our present. Okay, good. I like your reason. And I like the fact that it's not the same as what Susan already said, right? Because Susan said something different. So Susan just said that it's the only planet we have to live in, and that, well, she proposed some solutions, right? So great reason. Now, Alex has a good point when he says that the economy growth, okay, careful with the expression. First of all, careful with the grammar part, the use of the indefinite article, the word that here. So that article is usually used when you guys are talking about specific things. Now, in this case, we're talking about economic growth in general, right? Economic growth of any country, of any nation. We're not talking about one specific economic growth, right? If we were to say the economic growth of our country, that would be specific, right? So what is the grammar rule? When you guys are talking about specific things, then you can use the indefinite article that. So the economic growth of our country. But if you guys are talking about general things, so economic growth in general, you do not have to use the indefinite article. So it would just be economic growth in general. And another thing to keep in mind is the phrase. It's actually economic growth instead of economic growth. So careful there. I don't know how to make suggestions. Okay, well, in any case. So he says that economic growth is one of the strategies to help the social problems that we have, such as reducing poverty or making better standards for living. Great. So don't forget the punctuation mark. You need a comma before giving examples with the phrase such as. And if you're using gerunds, then everything has to be gerunds, right? Such as reducing poverty, making better standards for living, improving the quality of life. So always with ing. Now, in terms of content, well done. You are really well summarizing Alex's reason. So economic growth is the only way to improve or to solve the social problems we have right now. And then you need to challenge it, right? So let's see what you said for challenging it. You said, however, don't forget punctuation with transition words. After every transition word or phrase, you guys need to use a comma. After every transition, like however, on the other hand, furthermore, all of them. So however, comma, it's important to note that we can reduce poverty without destroying our natural resources. Great. I like the fact that you're really connecting the ideas, right? So Alex talked about poverty. So you're responding to that argument. So yeah, it's important to reduce poverty, but we can do it without destroying our natural resources. So I love that connection. Maybe for the grammar part, don't forget when you have the word and it is joining two independent clauses or two different ideas to make it easier, you have to use a comma before. And it is so important that we realize that we can distribute our resources in good ways. Perfect. So what I could tell you maybe for vocabulary, make sure that you guys always have synonyms for the most common adjectives, right? And it is essential that we realize that we can distribute our resources in healthy ways, maybe, right? Comma, creating jobs that are kind to the environment. I love this phrase. And you are perfectly fine challenging Alex's point. Now, for example, we can create a drinking water system for our families and our future generations, where we can take care of water by creating jobs without neglecting our planet. Okay, good. For example, we can create, right? Don't forget sentence structure. I like the fact that you're using this type of connectors, relative clauses, to join ideas. It's a really good thing to do. Where we can take care of water by creating jobs, but without neglecting our planet. Okay. That's why I feel that protecting the environment is one of the most important things that we should think about. Okay, so one comment for your conclusion, Adri. It's actually really good. Careful maybe with the grammar part. Again, same thing, the use of the indefinite article. But maybe what I could say about the content is make sure that your conclusion is always directly answering the question. So I would suggest that you always go back to the question and read it again. Now the question says, if you had to choose between prioritizing economic growth or protecting the environment, which one would you pick? So try to answer the question as directly as you can. The question is not whether protecting the environment is important, right? The question is, would you prioritize protecting the environment over economic growth? So which one would you choose? So maybe I would rephrase the last sentence and I would say, that's why I feel that protecting the environment is more important than prioritizing economic growth, for example. Or that's why I feel that if I were a policymaker, I would prioritize the environment over economic growth. Right? Something like that, but where you make that comparison. Is that okay? Do you guys have any questions so far?
No, teacher, thank you for the questions.
Sure. Any other tips that maybe some of you could give Adri? Any other suggestions, any other comments?
Maybe for me, the advice so important is thinking about the answer before you respond, and you don't waste the time. You have the answer in your mind.
Okay. So yeah, that's actually a really good tip, thinking about your response before you start writing. So yes, it is really important that you do that you outline the essay a little bit in the beginning, because otherwise you end up sometimes repeating the same ideas. You don't know what to say, you get stuck more easily, but having an outline of what your reason is going to be at least is really going to help you stay focused, right? And don't go changing the topic. Yes, Adri. You guys? So let's see, Matilda's. So she says, I completely support Susan's opinion. Good. Besides the fact that we need a healthy environment in order to continue living comfortable lives. Nice. So, okay. Let me check. Oh, what did I do? Okay, sorry. So let me check what we had here in the instructions. Okay. So careful. So Matilda, in your case, for example, when you're summarizing Susan's reason, you said, besides the fact that we need to take care of the environment to continue living comfortable lives. But I am not totally sure if that's exactly what Susan said, right? Try to make sure that you are really summarizing Susan's or the student's point, student A's point, because here she doesn't talk about living comfortable lives, right? She says live healthier lives, maybe. I don't know if it's the same, but try to be maybe a little bit more accurate, more precise, because part of the way that they're going to be evaluating this is how much you show your understanding of what was mentioned in the sample responses. So maybe try to summarize the point in a more direct way. But it is good, it is related. So besides the fact that we need a healthy environment in order to continue living comfortable lives, careful with the grammar part. Remember, when we talk about the noun life in plural lives, it goes with a B, right? So living comfortable lives, comma, perfect. It is widely known that in our era and in the following years, environmental issues would be a matter of life and death. Okay, good. Environmental issues will be a matter of life and death. So it's a good reason to add. It's different than what Susan said, because Susan, the only thing that she said was that we only have one Earth. So it's something different. Now, Alex has a good point when he says that economic growth is a key factor for the maintenance of every state. Okay, good. So again, let's see what Alex said. I think that economic growth is the only way to solve many social. Okay, we need a strong economy to create jobs. Okay, good. So yes, it is related to what Alex said. I guess I would say the same as what I already said for Susan. Try to always make sure that it's directly summarized. I would even maybe try to paraphrase the main sentence or the main reason that we have from Alex, right? So in this case, I guess that what Alex is saying is that economic growth is the only way to solve many of the social and economic problems. So maybe try to find out a way to paraphrase that idea, right? So, however, it is important to note that this is good, but careful with the punctuation. Before every transition word, words like however, nevertheless, nonetheless, furthermore, moreover, or transition phrases like on the other hand, to illustrate, before the transition, you have two options. You can either use a period, or you could also use a semicolon. Now, depending on whether the ideas are too different or maybe they're related, right? If they are related, then you could use semicolon because that's a smaller separation. And if they're not too related, then it's better to use a period so that you create a bigger gap between the two of them. And after every transition, you gotta use a colon. So however, it is important to note that in order to maintain a state, the government should guarantee the existence of the state itself. Okay, I like that contrast. And I like the relationship that you're creating between Alex's point and your point, right? So you are really contrasting it. Now our society is now facing the disappearance of several islands due to climate change. Good. How could an administration focus on economy when its survival depends on the planet's well-being? Perfect. For example, the Cayman Island is now facing a life-threatening challenge, rising sea levels. Okay, good. So, Matilde, sorry?
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't continue because I didn't have more time. Yeah.
Okay, no problem though. To be honest, remember you have what I would say. You have one sentence here to summarize Alex's point. You have another one to refute that point, to challenge it. To be honest, I think that this could already be your exam because you are giving details, you know? So you don't necessarily have to be so specific as we were in the other writing tasks. So in this case, it's okay if you just have one sentence to challenge the point, and you could have this as your example. For example, our society is now facing the disappearance of several islands due to climate change. I love this question that you raised here, and then you can go directly to your conclusion, right? So making it time. So it doesn't have to be that long. I'm pretty sure that this is already about 150 words. And remember to always be checking the timer, right? And see how much time you have. And according to that, you can make some changes. But good response, Matilde, well done.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions, any comments? Okay, guys, perfect. Then, well, Alexandra's, I have it here. Oh my God. Okay, so Alexandra says, I completely support Susan's opinion. I think you all went for Susan, right? So besides the fact that some companies contribute to protect the environment, but they have more economic interest. Okay. Remember that in this second sentence, Alexandra, what you have to do is summarize Susan's point, right? So what Susan said as her reason. Now, in this case, I don't think that Susan said anything like this, did she?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this is supposed to be a summary of Susan's main point. So Susan's main point was that the planet Earth is the only place we have to live in, so it's an emergency to take care of it. So besides the fact that the only place we have to live in is planet Earth, it is widely known that the resources on this planet are limited. Okay, good. Comma before the word and. And if we do not stop the way that consumers are attacking the ecosystem, comma, our Earth will be destroyed. Okay, good. So you're now talking about resources. I like that. It's a nice addition to what Susan said. Remember punctuation. First of all, before the word and, when it is joining two different ideas, use a comma. And when you're using conditional sentences, those sentences that contain the word if the word if is going in the beginning of the sentence, like in this case, if we do not stop the way consumers attack the ecosystem, then you need a comma to separate the two clauses, the condition from the result. If the word if is in the middle of the sentence, then no problem, no comma is needed. But in this case, you do need a comma. Now, Alex has a good point when he says that economic growth has a positive impact on society, like promoting new jobs and improving our lives. However, it is important to note that the reason that the maybe natural resources are limited.
Yes, I confused my idea, and I don't have more time.
Okay. It is important to know that the reason why natural resources are disappearing have been disappearing during the last 3 decades is because of the technological advances, right? That happens so quickly. At the same time as global warming is, okay, good, not bad. What could I say? When you're summarizing a student B's response, what you're saying is good. Alex has a good point when he says that the economic growth has a positive impact on society. Try not to give details. Summarize it as much as you can. So these were examples from Alex's response, right? Promoting new jobs, improving our lifestyles. So when you guys are summarizing both Susan's and Alex's main reasons, do not include the details, only summarize the big ideas. Careful with the use of the indefinite article. When we talk about one specific in society, one thing in particular, we use that. If we're not talking about one thing in particular, but instead we're talking about things in general, then there's no need to use it. So good. Maybe what I would suggest, Alexandra, first, make sure that you have some vocabulary for talking about the environment. Remember, it's something that comes up a lot in the TOEFL test. So study some phrases, some expressions, some vocabulary for the environment. And obviously, well, and this is just practicing for your time management, right? But it's a good response. Well done.
Thank you, Miss.
Sure thing. Any questions, any comments, tips? Okay. So finally, Arcelis. This is a lot. It looks like a lot. I completely support Susan's opinion, besides the fact that we should shift towards more environmentally friendly practices and promote more friendly technologies. It is widely known that if we continue to create jobs that consume all the resources offered to us by nature, the next generations won't have any nature to enjoy. There won't be any rivers or forests. Okay, good. I like this. Now, Araceli, remember that when you in the second sentence, when you summarize Susan's or student A's point, try to always go for the main reason that the student gives. You're now talking about the solutions that she gives, right? But that's part of the elaboration of her point. Always go for the main point. Don't go for the details or anything else that you may have in the response. So instead of talking about the proposal she has, talk about the reason that she gives, right? Besides the fact that we only have one planet, it is also widely known that if we continue to create jobs that consume all the resources offered to us by nature, next generations will have any nature to enjoy. So careful in that way for the content, careful also with the punctuation. Same thing when you have conditionals. You need a comma when the if is in the beginning of the conditional sentence. Careful with the tenses, jobs that consume all the resources. And also careful with punctuation too. Remember that you cannot use a comma to separate two independent clauses. That means two different ideas. You need to use a period or a semicolon in that case. These details of rivers, forests, these are examples of nature, right? So maybe I will leave them for your details later. Now, Alex has a good point when he says that by creating more jobs, okay, punctuation, by creating more jobs, we can reduce poverty and improve the lifestyle of more people. Okay. Careful, gerunds. However, it is important to know that the company's growth will be overwhelming for the environment. Okay, great. I like that because it's related to what Alex said, right? Alex says that we need to create jobs, right, to reduce poverty. But you're saying that this company's growth is going to damage the environment. So it's a good way of contrasting that. For example, my grandfather once told me about the time when he was a kid, that he used to go to Rochas River in Cochabamba with his friends and play along the river. But now we can't do that because of the contamination of the river by the company's growth. That's why I feel that being more environmentally friendly is the only way to go, because we can enjoy the nature around us. Okay, good. So I was about to say that maybe this was going to be too long for your example, but I like the fact that you made it into one sentence, right? Maybe it is a little bit of a long sentence because we have too many ideas, right? We have one idea here. We have another one here. And we have another one here. You have four clauses actually. So I would try not to have such long sentences. And this is a tip for all of your writing. If your sentence has more than one transition or more than one connector, then you gotta break down that sentence into 2 or 3 sentences. In this case, here, maybe you should place a period. He used to go to Rochas River in Cochabamba with his friends and play along the river. We have another transition here, right? Another connector, but now we could say, nevertheless, we can't do that now because of the contamination of the river by the company's growth, right? Separate the ideas. And finally, as for your conclusion, that's why I feel that being more environmentally friendly is the only way to go. Okay, I think it's good. Maybe I would make it more clear. I mean, I would answer the question a little bit more directly. I would say that's why I feel that being more environmentally friendly should be the priority, right? Because we're talking about priorities. So should be the priority as we can enjoy the nature around us. Okay, Araceli, well done as well. I think none of you guys are struggling with the content, right? I think you understand well how to use a template. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions, any comments now? I am gonna be sending your responses back with some feedback, so don't worry if I didn't get to read your responses now. But what do you think? Any questions, any comments now before we go?
Teacher, I don't know if you can send us more homework about this, because I don't want more examples for this part of the work.
Okay, yes, I could send you. Actually, the ETS has published a few practice sets. I'm gonna be sending you guys that link. But to be honest, there aren't many sites available, given that it's a new task. We still don't have many of them. But I'm gonna send you what I can find.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Any other question? All right, guys. So please don't forget today's daily survey. And I will be seeing you guys next week. I'll be sending you that practice for you to continue practicing this question.
Thank you. See you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.